Today, we're going to break down a viral story that makes an absolutely shocking claim about a major world event. We're going to peel back the layers and really look at how this narrative is put together, what makes it so convincing, and the powerful argument it presents. So, right out of the gate, boom, the storyteller hits you with this explosive claim. It's a statement designed to grab your attention immediately and set the stage for a really dramatic story. This right here is the foundation for everything that follows.
Okay, so before we dive any deeper, I want to be super clear about what we're doing here. We are not here to fact-check any of this. Think of us more like narrative detectives. Our whole goal is to deconstruct this story piece by piece to understand the argument it's making and how it's making it.
All right, every good story needs a big central event, and the first part of this narrative establishes the what, a full-scale military assault on Venezuela's capital, Caracas. This is the inciting incident that kicks everything off. Now, to make this event feel real, the storyteller floods you with these very specific, very dramatic details. We're told about U.S. Air Force bombs dropping, fighter jets and helicopters in the sky, and even missiles being launched from Navy ships. It paints this incredibly vivid picture of a huge, coordinated attack aimed right at the country's military heart. And this is where we see the human cost. The source makes a point to emphasize a city in total chaos, a government in complete panic, and ordinary people trying to flee for their lives. It's a crucial detail for really hammering home the high stakes of the story. So once we have the what, the story has to tackle the why. A really compelling narrative doesn't just tell you what happened. It's got to explain the reasons behind such a massive action.
And the narrative knows you're asking that question. It anticipates what the audience is thinking, so it asks the question directly. And then it sets up this stark contrast between the official story and what it claims are the real reasons.
And this is where things get really interesting. The source creates this clear divide. On one side, you have the official reason, stopping drug trafficking, which it just kind of waves away. On the other side, it presents what it frames as the true motives, getting control of Venezuela's huge oil reserves and getting rid of a government that's friendly with rivals like China and Russia. But get this. According to the source, this whole thing isn't just about Venezuela. It's about sending a message, a really powerful one, to the entire continent. The argument here is that this action is part of a broader U.S. policy. You either get in line or you get bombed into submission. Now, to make its case even stronger, the video does something really smart. It doesn't treat this as some random, isolated incident. Nope. It argues that this event fits into a familiar, predictable pattern. And that's a really powerful storytelling tool. And this is a key technique for building credibility. By bringing up history, it taps into our tendency to look for patterns. It's basically saying, hey, you've seen this playbook before, so you should recognize it being used right now. The storyteller then points to specific examples as proof. Serbia, Iraq, Libya. They're presented almost like chapters in the exact same book, creating this historical line that leads straight to what's allegedly happening in Venezuela. And this quote, man, it gets right to the heart of the whole pattern argument. The source isn't just saying the U.S. has done this before. It's arguing that these past actions have a history of creating long-term chaos and instability, these quagmires. So building on that history, the narrative pivots. It moves from the past to the future. It uses that pattern it just established to predict what's going to happen next, specifically the ripple effects across the whole of South America. The video then lays out this really clear two-step prediction for how the conflict is going to spread. First, Venezuela, and then its neighbor, Colombia. And by saying this is based on past statements from officials, the narrative makes this prediction feel both grounded and almost inevitable. Then, the narrative basically gives us a strategic map of the continent's future. It predicts some countries will be destabilized, others weakened economically, but it makes a very specific exception for the lithium triangle. The story says this is because the U.S. needs their resources, which suggests a cold, calculated logic is behind the whole thing.
And the story doesn't just stop in South America. The narrative brings the consequences right home to you, the viewer, warning of a major spike in oil prices, a direct economic hit that'll be felt by pretty much everyone, no matter where they live.
Finally, the narrative doesn't wrap up with a neat answer. Instead, it concludes by leaving the audience with all these critical, unresolved questions. This is where the story shifts from explaining what's happening to warning about a very uncertain future.
The source argues that the single most dangerous part of this entire situation is the lack of a clear endgame. What happens the day after? According to this narrative, there is no plan, and that could lead to a totally catastrophic power vacuum. And this is one of those giant geopolitical questions the video just leaves hanging in the air. By bringing up the chance of other world powers getting involved, the story suggests this regional conflict could very easily spiral into a global one.
The video uses this incredibly powerful phrase, jungle Raj, or rule of the jungle, to predict what that power vacuum would actually look like on the ground. It's meant to conjure up an image of complete lawlessness, a society falling apart, and it draws a very intentional parallel to what it claims happened in Iraq.
And then, the narrative brings it all full circle. It asks if the U.S. could end up stuck in a disastrous, unwinnable situation, a quagmire. It's a final, ominous parallel, drawing a comparison to Russia's situation in Ukraine.
So that's the anatomy of this narrative. It's compelling, it's alarming, and it's built so methodically. It uses specific details, historical parallels, and predictions about the future to construct a very particular version of events. It's a powerful reminder to always ask ourselves, how do powerful stories like this one shape our understanding of world events? And what parts of the picture might we still be missing?